And joining me now is former House Speaker Paul Renner, now candidate for governor. Welcome, great to have you in.
Great to be here, Holly.
All right, so I guess we'll start with the obvious question is
Right.
why now? Why did you want to run?
Well, we've talked about family a little earlier, and I'm a father of 2 young children, so questions about the future are something I think about a lot, such as what happens when Governor DeSantis is gone, who's going to step in and fight, who can deliver results. And I've done just that over 20 years in the military and during 2 wars as a state prosecutor and as a Speaker of the House most recently. And so after a lot of prayer and with the support of my family, I am running for governor because I am the person that can defend what we have and also solve the challenges that we have ahead.
All right, so let's talk about that race ahead, because if you look at it in terms of who's running in what lane, you've got Congressman Byron Donalds, who is in the Trump lane. He's endorsed by President Trump. You have the still developing potential Governor DeSantis lane, which will the Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins announce soon. There's been speculation, although it's cooled off, around First Lady Casey DeSantis. If those are the 2 tracks, where do you see yourself? Or do you see yourself potentially in the governor's lane?
I'm in both of those lanes. I think we've got a great president and a great governor, so Florida's blessed. And I was up at 3 a.m. in the morning, high-fiving, hugging my wife when President Trump got elected, and the same for Governor DeSantis. We really don't know how good we have it. And so I'll be running as a pro-Trump, pro-DeSantis candidate and looking towards who can lead for the next 4 years.
Do you anticipate that you'll be up against Jay Collins, or you just don't know?
I don't know. And look, these guys are all friends of mine, and so our opposition really at the end of the day is the Democrats next year. We want to make sure we don't roll back the wins we've won that were so hard fought. I was part of that and preserve that, but also, as I said, be able to address challenges ahead.
But first, there's the primary. So I've got one more question related to that. Is you have Congressman Byron Donalds, who you know well, served with him in the Florida House. He has $22 million in the bank at least. He's got the Trump endorsement, which in this state is worth a lot. You could even argue that, you know, the governor is the governor because Trump endorsed him. But if you're running against him, you must see some weakness there in his candidacy. What do you see?
Look, I think I'm going to be the best person to be governor. That's really it. It's not against Byron or Congressman Donalds or anybody else. But I think you just look at 3 things. Who can you trust? Who's got the leadership background, and who's delivered results. And certainly on all 3 of those, I've got a record going back to when I was 23, navigating a Navy ship through mine-infested waters with a security clearance for our nation's secrets. All the way through, I've been in positions of trust, leadership under pressure in the military as a prosecutor, and of course a speaker, where I've delivered results, things that people said could not be done, whether it's addressing our insurance crisis and trying to bring that in where it's less costly for people, or universal school choice that even advocates said you're never going to get it done.
Let's talk about some of the hot button issues right now, and I want to ask you about Alligator Alcatraz. Now, if you're talking about a Republican primary, Republicans by and large, they support Trump's agenda when it comes to illegal immigration enforcement and deportation. So I'm not asking about that when I ask about Alligator Alcatraz. My question is, here the state is on the hook so far and counting for $250 million. They built this place in the Everglades. They've now been ordered to shut it down. The state's now going to open 1, maybe 2 more, and so the bill is still running. You know, was the Everglades the best spot to build this, or has this just turned into a mess now that is costly, and so far Florida taxpayers are on the hook for? Have there been mistakes made in helping the Trump agenda on immigration?
Well, I would say the costs have been running for quite some time on illegal immigration, because we have, free education, free health care for people that don't have any other means that are coming here illegally. And so the price tag has been running for quite some time on illegal immigration. So I think it's appropriate for the state to spend the resources to be the best possible partner for President Trump in Homeland Security. That's what Governor DeSantis has done, and that's what we need to continue. So as far as Alligator Alcatraz, look, we have other locations. I think it's smart to have multiple locations. What that does for us too, Holly, is it relieves the county jails, where you have people that are there for a different reason than your street criminals. And we have overcrowding. Sometimes, you have to release people. We don't want to be releasing street criminals into the streets when we can house these deportees or prospective deportees in a secure facility.
Do you think it was a mistake to build it there, though? One of the most environmentally sensitive areas on the planet. It, by the judge's order, is getting shut down on those environmental reasons. Was that a mistake?
Well, look, I mean, I don't know what all went into that thought process, but what I do know is that it was already there. There was a flight line there, and so there was something already ready-made, just like Camp Blanding. It's ready-made. It's a base, that we use for National Guard and so forth. So I think that was the thought process. Look, I worry about hurricanes and that kind of stuff. You got to evacuate everybody, your personnel, the deportees, everybody. But look, I think it was meeting a need at the time, and can still continue to meet that need. But I think it's smart for the governor to do what he did, which is to continue adding locations where we can get those people processed.
Let's talk about another big hot button issue that a lot of people are talking about and have strong feelings about, and that's the street art. Removing the street murals all across the state to come in compliance with FDOT and the state law that kind of puts the teeth behind that if localities and municipalities don't comply, that they could lose the state funding. Maybe I missed it, but I don't particularly remember this great outcry to remove public art off the streets. If you were the governor, would you have done the same as is being done right now on this?
Yeah, look, I think, I don't think the governor intended this, but local governments allowed this to kind of get away, and I think it's a public safety issue. Look, I enter an intersection, I'm looking for left turn signals, right turn signals on the street, where I can pass or not pass, not a bunch of stripes and rainbows that may confuse a driver. And the same it's not just rainbows, it's anything that doesn't belong on the street. So I think we need to keep our street signs and signalization what it is and get all the other stuff, put it on a graffiti wall. It doesn't mean you can't have it. It just means don't put it on the roads.
So you support it?
Yeah, I do.
David Jolly will be your competition if you go on to compete in the general. He is likely, anyway, to be the Democratic nominee. So far, he seems to be the one who is in that position. And he has made, former Republican, and he has made affordability his signature issue. And there is no doubt about it that Floridians, particularly over the last decade, perhaps, feel like they're getting priced out. People who live and work in their communities can no longer afford the rent in their communities, or it just keeps going up and up and up and up. And so he is going to, drill down on that as his defining campaign issue, which may really resonate with some people. What would you say to people who right now are struggling more to survive in Florida than they have perhaps in the last decade?
Well, when I became speaker in 2022 and termed out in 24, that was a big issue. Joe Biden had let inflation go, rampant, and so people were really struggling and still are struggling. So we did a number of things. We cut taxes. We addressed insurance, as I mentioned, through litigation reform. That's brought down premiums for the first time in memory. We eased the cost of education through our universal school choice scholarships. We even put on the ballot, and the voters passed a homestead exemption increase, so that as inflation kind of wears away that exemption, it will automatically adjust upward. But there's more to do. We need to roll back property taxes. They're growing twice the rate of the nation in Florida, so we need to roll back property taxes. We need to continue to work on insurance. I'm not satisfied with where we are yet, and that can be done through home hardening programs like My Safe Florida Home and other things that we can do to help the family budget. So I think it is a very important issue, an issue that I'm going to focus on as well, is how do we make things more affordable? Let's make Florida more affordable again.
You brought up the school vouchers and the money going toward those vouchers that can now be used in Florida for private schools, for homeschooling, school choice across the board. But we have seen this year public schools, the enrollment dropping, large part because of that, and that cuts into their funding. Is that charter program undermining public schools?
It's really overstating. That narrative is really, like in my county, they said 2,000 kids are gone. We looked at it, was 128 kids that actually left public schools for this scholarship. Some of it's immigration, some of those kids that are just not there anymore that are coming out of the schools. It's a variety of different reasons, but we want to invest in all of our schools. We want our public schools so that kids can get a world-class education wherever they go. But the scholarship can also be used, like a homeschool kid can go to a traditional public school and take a physics class or a chemistry class. And so we believe that this is about the money following the student, parents being in the driver's seat to choose whatever's best for them, and they can mix and match that education. So if they're homeschooled, for example, they can go to a traditional public school, and the public schools can reap money they weren't getting otherwise and actually increase their enrollment. Or if they're facing some challenges with space and they have some capacity, start a micro school. Some of these public school teachers are starting micro schools where maybe you get a more tailored education for kids that are struggling in reading or maybe dyslexic and so forth.
Do you think that maybe a decade from now, education is going to look totally different in this state because maybe we'll have so much
Totally
more?
different, and for the better. It's going to drive innovation. It's going to bring people in that are going to solve the problems that all of our kids face. Some kids learn better in reading or science, and some struggle in these topics. And so it will really empower entrepreneurs to look and say, how do we fix this problem? How is it that in Florida we have almost 40% of our students that can't read on grade level? That's unacceptable, morally unacceptable. So as much as we've done great things in Florida, challenges remain. Affordability, we have more to do in education, environmental infrastructure, roads and bridges, all these things with a growing state. There's a lot of challenges, and so you want to turn to somebody who's done it, who's solved those problems, as I have as a speaker and with my background in the military.
We're out of time, so I'll have to let that be the last word. Paul Renner, certainly appreciate it. And as the race heats up, we'll have you back and talk some more. Thank you.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage. And click the subscribe button here. You can also download our app and watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.